There are many of you who are in a wilderness season and you're experiencing subtle signs that you're on your way to your promised land. Well, I have great news for you. Stay tuned to learn what signs are often signals that God is taking you into all He has for you.
You're listening to Identity Shift with Zara-Zivan, the space where we renew our minds to live in our unique design.
So, if you're watching this and if you're listening, you probably are in a place of your life where it feels as though things are just seemingly not changing. Like you have let go of relationships, or you have seen doors close, you have been denied interview after interview, your money's drying up. There's so many things that show that you are in a wilderness season. But what about those subtle signs that show that you're stepping out and that God is leading you to arise, that things are getting better, that it won't be the same? So I'm experiencing those things currently in my life, that I started to look at the good. And a part of identity shifting when you're in a season like this is the important part is constantly renewing your mind. And hopefully in this season, and you'll get an understanding of what it means to actually renew your mind, because we have a tendency to look at our situations and look at just the negative, look at how bad it feels. And I've trained my mind to say, well, what if things actually get better? What if I'm in this season and it's molding and shaping my character? What if I am experiencing this because this is going to build my story to help someone out in the future? So all of those what ifs in a positive perspective is actually helping me get through. So I'm like super excited to share with you what 6 signs are actually going to help you see that you're actually transitioning. So let's transition into sign number 1. So sign number 1 is that your current environment just doesn't feel like home. It doesn't feel like you're meant to be here. It feels uncomfortable, and uncomfortable in a way where it's like you feel disgusted, like this can't be your life. And when we look in the book of Joshua, when God was calling Israel to their promised land, he's like, you're about to cross over. And if you kind of put yourself in a mindset where you're crossing into some place that doesn't feel comfortable, it doesn't feel like, oh my God, it's bigger than me, it's more than what I can handle. The capacity that you feel in your current environment just does not support where you're going. For instance, where I am now, it's like the environment that I'm in, it does not support it. The job doesn't support it. The place of living doesn't support where I'm going. It's like, it's just a cushion. It's just a place, a temporary place. And that's exactly what your wilderness is. It is a temporary place. God oftentimes gives you this discomfort that kind of pushes you to say, hey, I need to start taking action on something immediately. I need to start getting up, and because before you're probably comfortable where you're at. Before you're probably like, one day I'll get to my business. One day I'll work on the project. One day I'll write the book. But right now you're like, no, we need to write the book. We need to do the business. We need to do everything we need to do to take action, because we can't stay here. This is not it for me. So oftentimes you'll feel that as a sign, and that is a really good sign that, okay, it's time to start transitioning into a better place. So the second sign of that God is transitioning you into your promised land is that you'll start to build new relationships. New relationships are a beautiful sign. Like, I'm talking about relationships that point you in the direction of where you're trying to be, who you're trying to become. And oh my goodness, I love this one because it really does confirm. Because if you think about it, the people that you attract in your life, they often come because of who you are. So let's say you broke up with a friendship, you have some time to yourself, and the next thing you know, you start meeting new people that sound like the new version of you, that feel like the new version of you, that inspire you to become a better version of you. Those are all the relationship signs that show that, okay, God is moving me into a better place. And I have a really good example of this because I positioned myself literally intentionally for what I wanted. Coming from Atlanta to coming back home, I'm like, I can't, where I live, it's like, it's not it. It's not it for me. I don't. And although the people are nice, they're cool, it's just not my environment. Because when you put yourself in a mindset and you live through one experience in one extreme and you know what you're capable of, and then you come back to a low place, it just doesn't feel the same. You know that you want what you saw. You know that you want to be put in that position again or better. I live in the Tampa Bay area, so oftentimes it's hard to make friends in Tampa. That's the common trend we hear on Threads. If you're on my Threads account, follow me there. But oftentimes on Threads, you'll see people posting about, oh my gosh, it's so hard to make friends in Tampa. And I came up with a strategy. I'm like, I'm going to make me some friends that align with me, and I'm going to figure this out. So I intentionally position myself in rooms that I want to be in, meaning like I see the version of myself in the future. I see the successful version. I have these big dreams. I have these big ideas. And not all the time does my family fit that vision. Like I have family members here and we may get along and we may hang out in certain environments that fit our comfort zones with each other, but not everybody's going to be at a higher stance or a higher expectation. Like that's a whole nother story. But I position myself at my church, very prominent, very big on community service and gathering together in groups. So I joined a small group and I position myself because we have different locations. I was like, I'm not going to go to the location that I'm familiar with. I'm going to go to the location that I feel more aligned to becoming. So I went to the location because demographics in the location matter. If you go to South Tampa, you're going to experience a lot of wealthy people. You're going to experience a different level of thinking, a different type of personalities that where people are business owners. Like I just feel like South Tampa is just like a really great place to be. So that's where I went. I feel like the people, the girls that I've connected with, I'm like, this is who I'm trying to become. Like, this is the environment that feels more aligned to the woman I'm becoming. And lo and behold, after spending 6 weeks with them in our small groups, we feel connected. And I know the connection is there, and these can potentially turn into long-term relationships. So that's what I mean when I'm saying like God is positioning you for better if you decide to take that step and say, hey, I'm going to meet some new people. I'm going to position myself in new environments that make me feel uncomfortable in a good way. Right? Because we're trying to do things that are going to bring us into our promised land, and that is positioning yourself for what you want. When you do things that you have not done before, you are going to begin to see yourself stepping into the version that you've been praying for. And that is a line that I feel like is real. If you've been praying about this version of yourself, if you've been praying about your new home, if you've been praying about your new relationships, that version of you is going to meet you there eventually. You just have to take step number 1. And that just leads me into sign number 3. You start walking in the new identity without asking for permission to do so. When you are in a season of transitioning from your wilderness into your promised land, you're going to begin to set standards for yourself. Like if you know that you know who you're becoming, or you have an idea of who you're becoming, you're going to start to set standards. You know that you don't tolerate low quality things. You don't tolerate low standards, people who take advantage of you, people who don't want the best for you. You already recognize and discern those relationships that try to form. And you're like, nah, this doesn't feel like me, or no, this environment doesn't seem like where I want to be. So I'm not going to leave myself here. This may be like a position for your job. So I'm not saying that go ahead and quit your job. I'm saying that you may feel like, okay, they don't pay me enough, so I'm going to go try to find another job. Or you're in a group, or you have friends who have revisited you from your past, and you're like, I don't think we don't align. Those are your tests, because you really have to say no to things that just does not align with you. You have to start saying no to habits that don't align with who you're becoming. And when you begin to say no to things that no longer align, it's like you're cutting the cord to what no longer serves you. So that leaves space for new things to come into your life, the things that you've been praying for. When you think about it, when Joshua was leading Israel into the promised land, or just even to cross over the Jordan River, everybody didn't go with them. There are some people who stayed. There are some people who have stayed in the past version of you. There are people who have only tolerated or expected you to tolerate their standards. And they didn't think that you would become the version of you that you're becoming today. They didn't expect you to say no to them or start stepping up and talking for yourself. They didn't expect that. So those who don't expect the higher version of you, they can stay in that old version of you. Baseline is that the new identity that you're walking in, you don't need permission to walk in that version of yourself. You start walking and things will start aligning and attracting into your life. The fourth sign that God is transitioning you from your wilderness and into your promised land is that your resources begin to dry up and access begins to get denied. I'm currently working a job, and it seems as if I'm doing everything possible to make ends meet. And the more hours that I put into this job, it just seems like it's not enough. Like it's just not enough. So that actually made me and positioned me to begin to create a course or create a digital product that can help bring in income on the side, or even just thinking about what is God bringing me into. I'm focusing on that more than the job, because I'm like, the job, it can give me what I need to get by, but it's just not enough. And oftentimes, when you start to see that and notice that, because before I was like, oh, I'm good. I can take care of myself. I can do what I can do. But it's something about now. Maybe it's the inflation. I don't know, but it's something about now that I'm taking action on the things that I know I'm made for. It just seems like the resource is drying up, like the brook is drying up. When you think about it in the Bible, the very last chapter of Deuteronomy, Moses died. He's no longer the leader for Israel. So Joshua had to step into position. So think about the anointing that Moses carried. Think about all of the work that he did, the things that he led Israel through, the message that he gave on Mount Sinai. Those things were once Moses's resources. But what happens when that resource and that access point to God dries up for Israel? They begin to look at, well, where do we go? Well, who do we look to? Right? That's how we feel sometimes. Like, okay, God, this resource died. This is not working. This is not showing me the favor I need, I once had. I need to know, what is that next point? And then as we look in the Bible, we see Joshua steps into position to lead Israel out of the wilderness and into the promised land. The fifth sign that God is transitioning you into your promised land is He's going to work on your character. Okay. He's going to put a little bit of pressure under your character. And this is an important part as you're transitioning into your promised land, because character, it's something that you're going to need as God elevates you. This is the patience that God wants to work in us. Like, He began to show me that you're the face of your brand. You are not just someone working for a different company, but you are actually the face of your brand. Who you are on your job is going to go beyond your job position, meaning that who people see you as, they see you as the version of you that you are. And when you leave that job, they're still going to see the version of you that you are, who you showed up to them as. No matter if you've changed over the years and they haven't seen you in a long time, they're going to remember who you are when you left that job. So if God is putting you in a difficult position, that is because He's working on your character. God is going to begin to reveal to you that you need to be in a better mindset, a better attitude, like just give kindness, like dress yourself up, pray before you get to work, like literally spend time with God. Like, don't rush into work. Don't rush and get your day started, because that's just not giving you the space for God to be present in your life and your personality. You need time with God before you go to work and before you step out into the world. And I'm gonna give you another quick story. I went to an event where I was presenting poetry, and it just dawned on me that all of the women that was at this event, they probably stepped out onto my job in some point of time of shopping there, right? And I thought to myself, I said, what if one of these women met me before? And what if one of these women were a customer at the job and they came across me and I didn't give them the best customer experience? But yet here I am stepping on a stage where I'm performing poetry, and maybe they recognize me because they realize, oh, I remember that person from that job, from that place I shop. And they didn't give me the best customer service. Like, imagine them telling someone else that, oh no, that girl has a really bad attitude, or oh no, that girl just didn't give me the best service that day. Like, imagine that. Like, others are applauding you, but then there's that one person that may be stirring the problems up and putting bad words on your name because you gave them a bad experience on a particular day. That's deep. That is really deep. It dawned on me. I was like, dang, I'm so glad that God's working on my character, because you just never know who you're going to come across. If you're working at a job one day and then you're working on your brand another day, and you show up in front of an audience another day and they remember how you treated them at that job you worked at that you were so frustrated with, they're going to remember that experience. And then they might not work with you, or they may not applaud you because they realize that this is the same person that mistreated me or didn't give me the best experience because of their frustration in a temporary place. That's real deep. And it's so important that you let God work on your character in the season, because this is the season to be humbled. This is the season to allow God to do a new thing in you, so that when you step into your promised land, you are the face of God, and that you are representing him in a way that is going to please him and bring glory to his name. And that this is where it starts. It starts right here in your wilderness season. And the last and final sign number 6, that God is leading you into your promised land. God is going to put on your heart to lead and steward, not just survive. I understand that the wilderness feels like a survival. It feels like you are surviving every single day. And somehow, some way, you have this nudge to lead. And you're probably thinking, why in the world would I feel led to lead right now? I do not qualify to lead, because look at my place, look at my situation. And this is where faith comes into place. Faith is going to have to be your starting point of leadership, because it is in the wilderness that you learn how to steward your finances, steward relationships, steward your business. Because when God says, oop, we got you out of the wilderness, it's time to run into or move into, and you just never know how God may do a suddenly in your life. And you begin to see things take off quickly. And I've experienced that quickness very recently. And I realized that, oh my God, I actually have so much on my plate that I need to know how to manage all of this properly. And I feel like that was just a precursor, because my schedules were full. I was having meetings. I was having constant consultations. I have small groups to go to. I have church to attend, services to serve. Like, there's a lot of things that have been going on in my life right now. And I realized that if I don't know how to manage this properly, I'm not going to succeed, or I'm not going to have the energy to show up the way that I need to show up, and also make time for God. Because guess what? When things start taking off rapidly in your life, you're going to need that time with God. You're going to need to spend some time in prayer and some time in just worship and soaking with him, because missing out on that connection and that relationship and that, moment of abiding with the Lord, it's going to mess with your character. It's going to mess with the way you show up. It's like you need the power and strength of what God is going to lead you to do. And when we look at what the Bible states, when Joshua was commanded to go into the land, he was commanded to go in this land in different places to conquer it. And he used the same strategy to conquer each land. How did he win? He had a relationship with God. He knew strategy. He followed the book. He followed instructions that he was called and led to do. And so he kept winning. He kept conquering the land the same way that he conquered the last land. So when God puts you in a place where you start moving consistently, you're going to need to know how to lead. You're going to need to know how to manage and lead yourself in the season, because God's going to give you ideas to know how to manage your business, how to produce the content, when to produce the content, like to manage multiple clients at one time, time. Like, you're going to need to know how to manage all of that. And he's not going to dump all of that on you at one time. He's going to prepare you. And this is where he prepares you. He prepares you with the little things that you have right now. So that about wraps up the 6 signs that God is moving you into your promised land. I hope this resonated with you. I hope that you grasped something with this. If you did, share it with a friend. You never know, she might just need this message. And also to subscribe. Comment down below which sign is resonating with you the most right now. That'll build some conversation. I'd love to hear where you are. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe if you're listening on a podcast platform. And ultimately, the message I want you to get out of this is that it's not about you moving into a promised land to get whatever blessings that God has for you. Like, we want that, of course, but ultimately it is your yes that is going to help push you forward. God's yes, your yes is going to help move you and prepare you and gracefully walk in the things that God has for you in this next season. So we are in a season of spring. There's a lot of great things that are going to begin happening. So prepare yourself. I'm excited. I'm going to be releasing some more episodes related to this wilderness transition, this crossover series. So make sure you're subscribed to hear more episodes on this soon. Thank you so much for watching and listening today, and I will catch you on the next episode.